Afternoon, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed your lunch. I know I did. The curry was fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks for the introduction. I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you today. Before I start, I just want to say one thing. Given we're in a football club, as it says in my biography, I'm actually not from Sunderland anymore. After the result of the weekend, I've taken no amount of ribbon about being dicked by Newcastle 5-1. It is unbelievable. So it's nice to get away, to come across the boat and be with you here today to get out of that ribbon that I've been taking over the last 24 hours or so. Presentation's got two elements. First element is a bit of a context, a bit of a background as to why we're doing this in Peterborough. And then the second part of it is about the 7 strands which sit within the Citizens Power Programme. What I will ask you to bear in mind is that this programme only kicked off in July. It's a 2-year programme. So much of what you will hear is extracts from delivery plans rather than what's actually happened on the ground. The programme is a partnership between Peterborough City Council, the Arts Council and the Royal Society for the Arts. I'm assuming that people will know the Arts Council, their role to promote the arts and culture across the country. But I'm also assuming that people might not be overly familiar with the Royal Society for the Arts. They are a 250-year-old think tank, based in London, and they undertake influential and varied research and host the UK's most ambitious free lecture series. Its work is supported by 27,000 fellows from across the world, and these people are leading thinkers in all sorts of different subject matters, from science to the environment to community empowerment to the economy. Citizens Power is about bringing local people together to shape the future of Peterborough. It's also about bringing people together to make connections between each other and with their communities. And this will be done by examining many aspects of life in Peterborough through the 7 strands that I mentioned earlier. And these strands will focus on new ways of supporting local people and communities to make a positive difference. This programme has been around about 14 months in the making, and it's not about driving the Trojan horses through what's already going on in the city. We recognise there's a lot of great stuff going on in Peterborough, so this programme is about adding value to what already exists. So why are we doing this in Peterborough? Well, quite simply, we've got a lot going for us, actually. Cultural diversity. We've got long-standing Italian and Asian communities in the city. And more recently, we've seen a big change in demographics with the arrival of migrants from Eastern Europe, for example. Poland and Lithuanian communities are large in the city now. It's a fast-growing city. We are part of what was the M11 growth corridor from Stansted to Cambridge. That's now been extended to Peterborough, and the aim is to have 25,000 new jobs, 20,000 new homes by the mid-2020s. So no mean feat. It's a city which is committed to change. We wish to have a different type of conversation with the people in our city. We want to bring a university to the city, and we want it to deliver from a city perspective rather than from an individual agency perspective. We also have a reputation for the environment. We are one of 5 environmental cities, and we have the largest cluster of environmental businesses in the UK, and that is in excess of 300. And we also have aspirations to be the country's environmental capital. As you can imagine, any place has its challenges. Peterborough is actually no different. And long may it rest in peace, the Place Survey consistently shows that the city has challenges in that its citizens don't necessarily have a great sense of belonging to the neighbourhoods in which they live and the city in its wider sense. The change in demographics, a low and real plus for the city, are also a challenge in terms of delivering and trying to build cohesive communities. We also know the city suffers from low levels of social capacity that make it unlikely that people will automatically respond to the current challenges which face everybody. So a bit more context. So we're facing complex, seemingly intractable social, economic and environmental challenges. climate change, about living more environmentally sustainable lives, delivering public services with less money. We all know what happened on the 20th of October. Disconnection between people, but also disconnection between people and their communities. Demographic changes. We've got an ageing population and we've also got a diverse population. So how do we meet those challenges? Well, actually we believe it's by having a new account of what we call citizenship. We need our people to be more engaged in civic life, whatever that may be for them and their communities, and the priorities that they believe exist for their communities. Or it could be, if I just indulge and use myself as an example, somebody like me who has a passion for cricket and has become the chairman of his local cricket club. A passion which is born out of wanting to give young people in the village where I live an opportunity to play a game that I think is fantastic. And sport really does, know no bounds. We want people to be more pro-social, altruistic in their behaviour. We want them to be resourceful, the supporting capabilities they need to be self-reliant, independent and less dependent on the state. Resilient in the face of setbacks, be they personal setbacks or other types of setbacks. Some people I talk to in the city will say actually the spending review and the public service cuts are actually a big setback for us. Where do we go from here? How can we help those people move on so that it can actually open new doors? That brings us on to the last point on there about being creative and how we respond to the complex challenges we face in the 21st century, be it environmental or the austerity measures. These are the three recurring themes throughout the whole of the Citizen Power programme. Attachment to place in each other. We need to build that sense of attachment. Participation, about creating the conditions for people to get active in their communities, the conditions that are right for their communities, and each community will have a different set of conditions to allow that to take place. Innovation, identify new ways of doing things which are focused on people and their communities. These things also align with the work being undertaken by the local strategic partnership, the Greater Peterborough Partnership. And they've been doing work for around about the last 6 months, looking at or trying to sort of, if you like, second guess what the CSR was going to bring for us. And interestingly, they have come out of that process saying behaviour change is one of the keys that we need to drive in Peterborough. And to all intents and purposes, that's what Citizen Power Peterborough is about. Which is why this programme is seen as has been a major driver in terms of that behaviour change agenda. As I mentioned, the programme has 7 strands. These are not 7 strands which have just been plucked from the air. They're based on priorities that exist in the city, and also priorities which have been identified through the scoping study, which kicked off around about November last year and was concluded in May of this year. A scoping study which included engaging with the local people in Peterborough and saying, what are your priorities? What do we need to do differently? The first strand is sustainable citizenship. And what do we want to do? Well, we want to create what we call an innovation ecosystem. And I can hear the voices in minds now saying, what the hell is that? And what I mean by that is that we want to create an environment in which local people are passionate and equipped to make a creative contribution in solving the environmental challenges, not just in the city, but beyond the boundaries of Peterborough. Our lead on this piece of work, working with the RSA, is the Peterborough Environment City Trust, which is a charitable organisation leading the city's charge in terms of the environmental capital agenda. And this strand has 3 phases. The first strand is scope and research. The gather of case studies of best practice in respect of behaviour change to inform the work of this strand, and that piece of work is now complete. The next element is about developing an innovation network of local people to connect people who are interested in the environment via an online platform where they can exchange ideas and their experience and best practice and other useful information about running environmental projects at a grassroots level. This piece of this strand will actually build on Peterborough Environment City Trust's Green University website, which has got around about 25 or 30 groups attached to it who do things of this nature, so it's building on what already exists. Fund 3 locally led behaviour change projects, a 2-day workshop which is actually taking place yesterday and tomorrow, where local people will come together with experts in behaviour change, marketing, designers and others to identify projects that are likely to affect behaviour change at a neighbourhood level. The best ideas will receive some seed funding. The idea being, hopefully, you never know, let's be ambitious, one of those ideas could potentially turn into a social enterprise, for example. This strand will also support the city's aspiration to become the UK environmental capital, and thus adding value to the work of the Peterborough Environment City Trust. This is where I believe the Royal Society of the Arts really comes into its own, with access to those 27,000 fellows who are leading thinkers in different aspects and subjects and issues. Bringing those experts to the city to work with the Trust will really add value in terms of our aspirations for the UK's environmental capital. We're also making links to businesses in this sector. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we've got the largest environmental cluster of businesses in the UK, and we're absolutely delighted that IBM, Royal Haskin and Green Ventures are all on board with this strand. They themselves are producing something called the Peterborough model, which hopefully very soon you'll be able to see online. It's a visualisation of the city's environmental credentials using Google Earth. Now, what I mean by that is that you can actually go onto Google Earth, have a look at this Peterborough model, and it tells you how many people in the city have water buds. It tells you how many houses don't have the low-level light bulbs and all of these types of things. It tells you where Peterborough gets its water from. It's a small water treatment plant actually in Rutland. So if anything happens in Rutland, Peterborough's water supply could be in danger. But it just helps people to understand exactly what Peterborough's environmental credentials are. The reason we've made links with the Peterborough model is that this too is about behaviour change. The Peterborough model want the citizens of Peterborough to look at it and then engage and use that information to drive behaviour change, but not just at a community level, but at a business level as well. Utility companies. What's the City Council doing to engage with Rutland about that small water treatment plant, that if that goes belly up, what happens to people? These types of things. The next strand is civic commons, and this is one that I get really excited about, so please forgive me if I get a little bit carried away with this one. And this one is about providing a new space, new opportunities, if you like, for local people to come together with leading local figures, so local MPs, leaders of councils, chief executive of the PCT, business leaders, whoever it might be, to come together with leading thinkers who the RSA will source, for want of a better word, from around the world to debate and identify action on topical, local and national issues. And I understand that Peterborough is the first city in the UK to trial such an approach. In terms of the Civic Commons members, the local people who will get involved will deliver some informal training in areas such as public speaking and campaigning to enable the members to fully engage with and put ideas into action. Local leading figures have also committed to play a leading